Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the newest Mad Max film, Furiosa. Just to get right into it, I like to give you guys instantly what my take is on it, and then, you can move on from there, or you can listen to why I think this. I'm giving it a 76% or a 7.6 out of 10, if you will. I don't think this movie is bad whatsoever. I don't think it's the greatest of all the Mad Max films, though. I don't think it's better than Fury Road either. But there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But as of right now, I did want to just talk about how much I love Mad Max as a whole and how happy I am that this movie was still remotely good, even though it wasn't exactly what my expectations were. Furiosa is a cool movie. It's got a lot of really good visual set pieces, just like Fury Road. And with it being a direct prequel to Fury Road, it shares a lot of the same tone. The characters are all the same. It's really just leading right up to Fury Road. And that's something cool about this movie is it's such a good structure that it ends right where Fury Road begins. So I hope that's not a spoiler, but it literally, like, you can walk out of Furiosa and instantly start up Fury Road, and it's just like it's the same thing. Obviously, Charlize Theron is not Furiosa in this newest movie because obviously she's playing a younger version of Furiosa. Funny about that, though, is that George Miller actually wanted Charlize Theron to be Furiosa in this prequel. Unfortunately, he didn't like the way the de-aging technology looked, and he's more of one of those guys that wanted to just make it look good instead of having CGI and everything just riddled all over the main character. Understandable. So instead, we have Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa, and I don't think she played the character bad whatsoever. It's hard to determine how you should and shouldn't play a Mad Max character because a lot of times Mad Max characters are you're watching Mad Max for the environment, the wasteland, and you're also watching it for the villain. The villain is always really out of the ordinarily crazy. For example, in Road Warrior, you had the fucking, I forget what his name is, Hungus or whatever his name is. His name is Lord Humongous. He's just this big brute of a man who's got like this dumb mask on and he's wearing like a Speedo. They're always out of this world. And speaking of bad guys, Furiosa's bad guy, Chris Hemsworth, well, his name is Dementis, but it's Chris Hemsworth. He's fantastic. He is the best part of Furiosa. And I know I hate saying that because I wanted Furiosa to be the best part of this movie. But her villain is the best part of it. And a lot of times I think that's good. I think that's good for the Mad Max series because, like I was saying before, Anya Taylor-Joy plays Furiosa well. The only issue is that same with like Max himself. Furiosa is pretty much like Max, where she's quiet and she's very brooding and she's out for revenge or out to do that. She's got her mission and she keeps quiet and she's not very like vocal about stuff. She's just that kind of character. She's just like Max though, where the protagonist is just a quiet, brooding badass, pretty much. So you rely on the side characters to make it really spectacular while you're rooting on Furiosa or Max as a main character. So I think she did good. I think Anya Taylor-Joy did really good as the character, but that's not saying much because the character doesn't really do much besides just be a badass. So I don't know if that makes sense. I don't want to like spoil stuff and give you a bunch of different scenes and stuff like that if you haven't seen it, but I thought she was good enough. She did fine. Though she wasn't Charlize Theron, she did fine. What I was going to say though is when Fury Road came out in 2015, it was supposed to be filmed back to back with Furiosa. So he was, I don't know how George Miller was going to release this exactly, but he wanted Furiosa and then Fury Road to come out and it would be one big package pretty much, which that's what I assume he was trying to do, at least if he's going to film them back to back. But unfortunately things happen. I think the strike happened, COVID happened, and it kind of delayed things and made things a little harder. Hence why he couldn't get Charlize Theron back on to do this prequel. It's fine that Charlize Theron's not there. Obviously, if you're trying to transition from Furiosa to Fury Road, it's going to be a different actor. But if you have an imagination, you'll be fine. The main actor that takes the cake here is Chris Hemsworth's Dementis. He is fantastic. He's the character that kidnaps Furiosa as a kid and kind of causes her life to be just a struggle. And that's how she ends up getting into Morton Joe's possession and all that good stuff. If you haven't seen Fury Road, I don't want to spoil too much for you. But eventually, Furiosa becomes Morton Joe's right-hand man, pretty much. She's the driver of his big war rig that he has and all that good stuff. So without spoiling too much, I like this movie a lot. I really did like this movie. I didn't like it as much as Fury Road, like I said in the beginning. I also don't think that it's fair to compare them as such, mainly because if you look at this as one full package, Of course, Fury Road's going to be better because it's the second half of the story. In most cases, the second half of the story is the big climax. That's where it all goes boom and it's crazy. And that's what Fury Road is. 2 hours of just straight up action. That's what it is. And that's good. That's fine. I think a lot of people are looking at Furiosa as its own thing. And I think we should look at it as one full package with Fury Road because together, this is awesome. It's really, really fun. Furiosa builds everything that the Fury Road movie didn't. It builds it all up for you to understand better in Fury Road. So I know there's a lot of fury and fur, you know, all these different like words that sound exactly the same, but try to keep up with me a little bit here. In Furiosa, you get to see the background of Immortan Joe and his sons and his brother and his kingdom that he pretty much has. You get to see more in depth with the people that live under him, the people that, you know, are pretty much like in poverty under him, the people that he holds water from, the people that he like controls pretty much. You see how these people live, and you don't get to see that in Fury Road because Fury Road is just constantly on Fury Road. It's just a nonstop, just crazy drive type of movie. Furiosa builds that. It builds on everything that you should already know from Fury Road. It builds it all up. So we get to go into Gastown. We get to go see the Bullet Farm. We get to see more in depth on who Immortan Joe is and how he received Furiosa. And Chris Hemsworth Dementis is, I can't not talk about how good he was in this movie. His range as an actor is fantastic. Like he's hilarious. His dialogue is very just rich and almost scary at times, but you almost like him because he's kind of charming in a way. Like he's a psychopath, but it's just fun. And that's something that Mad Max has always been great at, is making good villains. Immortan Joe was fantastic in Fury Road. He's good in this too. Though with Immortan Joe, sorry to get off track, the actor who played Immortan Joe died in 2020. So it is a different actor. He sounds a little more clear than he does in Fury Road. Again, if you have an imagination, you can just deal with it. It's fine. I would say in Fury Road, Immortan Joe sounds more like Bane from The Dark Knight Rises than he does anything else, honestly. So it's kind of hard to understand him sometimes. In Furiosa, you can understand him clearly, and he sounds a lot better. He also he doesn't look different, but you can tell the actor's different. And depending on who you are, that might annoy you, but what are you going to do? The guy died. It's kind of sucks. You know what I mean? So I liked all the characters. I liked every character across the board. I thought everybody was really good. I thought everybody played their part really well. I just thought Chris Hemsworth was above everybody else. I thought he was so far ahead of everybody with his character that I loved it. I absolutely loved it. What I didn't like about this movie though, and I don't know if other people are talking about this as much, I think the pacing in this movie was really bad. Like it was there were moments where it was so slow. And like I said, it's a build up to Fury Road. So I get it, but like it's hard to sit here and like praise Furiosa because the pacing was so abysmally slow sometimes. Like it was like the beginning of it was all about her being a kid, and she's a kid for at least like a third of the movie, I would say. We're talking like Tarzan level of like, she's a child for so long, and it's building Dementis and his reign of terror across the wasteland. Pretty much it's building him more than it's building her. And like, this movie has this effect where when I first watched it, I'm kind of like, this pacing is bad. And this story is like not moving as much as I want. And then when you start thinking, it's connected to Fury Road and that's where it leads to, it's a little bit better. But I still think those pacing issues really cause this movie to get a little slow at a lot of times, because it is a revenge story. So there is a slow build up to that ending. But knowing that it goes into Fury Road and it's so much climax, it makes you almost go, man, I want some of that cool action that we got to see in Fury Road. And I will say in Furiosa, there are moments where it's like high octane action where I'm like, damn, that was badass. But nothing really stacks up to how Fury Road was. And again, I'm a broken record here. That might be because Fury Road was meant to be just the instant watch. Like you're instantly supposed to watch Fury Road right after, and that's where you get all your action. But that doesn't help people who have been waiting since 2015 for more badass George Miller Mad Max action. So it's kind of a bittersweet occasion here with this movie. I liked it a lot. Absolutely, it's a part of the Mad Max series. It's absolutely good enough to be a part of. It's Fury Road as a whole package. That's what it is. It's Furiosa, Fury Road together as a package. That's where this is the best of the best. The pacing, though, and some moments in the story really slow it down to the point where you're just like, man, I just want more action. And then when that action starts with the high octane, car chases and stuff, they're good. The camera angles are good. The movement of the camera is really good. The action itself is good, but it's just not as good as Fury Road. And I understand why the action might have been a little less awesome than Fury Road, but that doesn't excuse the fact that we waited 9 years for this movie, and it's like, in my opinion, not as action packed. It's not as huge. Now, this one is definitely more of a story developing movie. So if you are interested in Fury Road's story and you're interested in the world of Fury Road, Furiosa is a 10 out of 10 when it comes to building that same story and building those characters up. It is simply bad, though, when it comes to the pacing, in my opinion. It's just bad. Pacing wise, just bad. I don't want to spoil the characters in this movie. There are some really good characters, but there is one character, I believe his name is Jack. He's somebody that Furiosa is kind of friends with. He kind of came out of nowhere, and he kind of just is gone out of nowhere too. And I just really felt like there could have been more to build off of those characters. And the parts where I was like, I want to know more about Furiosa, it felt like it was more about the bad guys instead, which is fine if you like the bad guys more than you like the main title character of the movie. But when you're watching a Mad Max movie, you want to know more about what's going on with Mad Max than you do the bad guys normally. And in this, I felt like Furiosa didn't really get the spotlight all that much. I felt like Anya Taylor-Joy didn't get the spotlight as much as she could have. So I don't know if that's because the plan for Furiosa herself was to have just like kind of this slow buildup, because it is a revenge story and everything. And I get it's supposed to be a slow burn, but sometimes it's just way too slow. Sometimes it's just way too slow, and there's just not enough what we all have been waiting for 9 years. Now, I said in the beginning, I give it a 76%, and I stand by that because I do think it's a great movie. I think it's cool. I think there are those pacing issues, like I said, and I when it comes to pacing, I get pissy about pacing, because pacing is what keeps you interested in the movie. It keeps you high, low, and this movie just doesn't do that as well as it's supposed to flow. It's more of just like low, high, low, and it's hard to watch sometimes. Now, I don't know if history was different and this movie came out first. I don't know how I would, receive Furiosa. But as of right now, seeing this movie after Fury Road was just so much better, in my opinion. It was just so much more. And I give Fury Road like a 96%. I don't think it's the perfect movie ever made, but I think it's one of the best action movies I've ever seen. And I think it's the best Mad Max movie I've ever seen. Now, if I have to put these in a package and rate them, I'm going to give them an 89. I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I think Fury Road was so good that it carries itself. I think Furiosa is a very good prequel. I think this is a very, very good prequel. Even though I talk some shit about the plot, I think that the overall development in this movie, the overall characters, the acting, the action sequences that we do get, and just the overall just wasteland as a whole, I think it's good enough to give both of these movies together an 89. Fury Road's a 96. I'd give a 76 to Furiosa. Maybe I'd give Furiosa like an 8 because it's closer to 8 than it is 7. But I can't. For some reason, I just can't. I felt like there were just moments where I was almost falling asleep with how boring the development was. And I think that's because there's just not a lot at stake here. You already know who Furiosa is and where she goes. You're really watching this to see how she loses her arm and where she came from. And what kind of sucks is in Fury Road, you see what happens to her home, and it kind of makes it not really worth the buildup that this movie has. But I love this movie. I still love the Mad Max series. I cannot wait for the next one. Unfortunately, this movie is not doing well at the box office this Memorial Day weekend. I don't know what that is. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's a prequel. I don't know if it's because it's a girl, like, main character. I'm not sure what people are bitching about anymore. I just know that this movie's getting good ratings and it's not being seen in theaters as much as it needs to. It had a budget of $168 million, I believe, give or take. It's only made like $60 million so far. And I know only, but to movie industry, like the movie industry, that is not enough money for them to do anything with. They're not making their money back. They need to make like double their money pretty much to make a profit. That's unfortunate. Hopefully the movie gets some traction. I do think this movie is totally worth seeing in theaters because It is some high octane shit. I also didn't think that the music was as good as Fury Road either. I thought the music in Fury Road was tense and brought a lot of vibrance to the movie. There wasn't a lot of music in this one. I thought there were moments when we could have had like really loud bass moments, and they just didn't do it. That doesn't mean the movie was bad though. Like I said, there's a reason I gave it a 76 and not a 90 like I did the original movie or Fury Road. I do think it's good. I think this is a great prequel sequel. I think these movies together are beautiful. And from what we've heard, I'm sure George Miller's still doing it. The guy can do whatever he wants. He's 80 years old. Mad Max sells itself pretty much. I know this one didn't do as well as people wanted it to, or as the movie industry wanted, but I will say George Miller is working on another prequel from what I heard, and it's called Mad Max The Wasteland. So I believe that movie is going to be about Mad Max leading up to Fury Road. So I think that would be kind of cool. I'm curious to see if having Max by himself again, because we haven't had a Mad Max movie where he's by himself since Thunderdome. I'm curious to see if that will sell better than Furiosa by herself, or how they're going to go. I'm curious to see where it goes after that. I'm curious to see where it goes after Fury Road, because in Fury Road we do see the split ending of Furiosa and Mad Max together. So when it comes down to it, I'm excited to see whatever comes next. I thought Furiosa was really good. I didn't think it was perfect, to say the least. I didn't think it was the best Mad Max movie ever made. I still think I still think Fury Road is the best one, and I do think Fury Road deserves its praise even more after we got this prequel. I think if you combine these movies together, as I said before, this is a beautiful package. You have to watch these movies together. With that being said, this movie should be on HBO on Max in probably a month. With the way WB does things, they release their movies so quickly to streaming. So if you're not interested in seeing it in theaters, I think you should. But if you can't, watch this movie as soon as you can, because it is a really good movie. Fury Road is even better. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think of Mad Max as a whole. Let me know what you thought of the movie. I know this was a bit of a ramble like I always do. Other than that, thanks for watching, guys.